are my friend あの日の夢今でもまだ忘れてないんでしょ You are my dream 始まったばっか君らは long as back
Hey guys, welcome to my review for the hit Disney film Akira. Akira is a cyberpunk seinen manga that was written and illustrated by Katsuhiro Otomo, and it was serialized between 1982 and 1990. Our series takes place in the distant year of 2020, where 38 years ago an apparent atomic blast went off in Tokyo and started World War III. And since then, the war has ended, the city has been rebuilt as Neo-Tokyo, and is now set to host the coming Olympic Games. So the series follows our protagonist Kaneda, who is a high school student and also the leader of a biker gang. And one night when the gang is out on the town up to their normal shenanigans, one of the members, one of Kaneda's best friends, Tetsuo, he runs into a bit of a problem. And by problem, I mean a person. Yes, this is Takashi, a child who looks like he has seen some much better days. He runs into the path of Tetsuo. That looked a bit rough, but it's okay. Tetsuo is fine, but you see, Takashi isn't really a normal kid. He is an Esper, someone with psychic abilities who the government had been experimenting on. And this incident right here unlocked psychic abilities within Tetsuo. The government quickly comes in to cover all of this up. But after realizing what's going on with Tetsuo, they decide that they want to start experimenting on him as well. Meanwhile, Kaneda is finding himself in some trouble because while this whole ordeal is going on, Kaneda crosses paths with Kei, a member of a terrorist organization hell-bent on taking the government down. So they catch wind of all these government secrets, that they're experimenting on children, giving them psychic powers. They also hear tell of Akira, another government experiment said to be so powerful that he may have actually been the true cause of World War III. So now it is up to Kaneda, Kei, and all of their resistance friends to put a stop to these crazy experiments that the government is pulling off, while also being mindful of Tetsuo, who has since seen some incredible growth in his psychic powers and becomes the type of person that you do not want to fuck with. Now, going into this story, it's really hard to ignore just the amount of influence that Akira has had on the industry. This is a series that's been around for a very long time, and it's one of those series that really played a big role in popularizing manga and anime in the West. Not just the manga, but also the incredibly influential animated film that came out in the late 80s. So it was kind of hard not to go into Akira expecting a great story, and I am happy to report that that is exactly what I got with Akira. The storytelling in the series really hooked me from the very first volume. It's very fast-paced, and it really wastes no time just throwing you into the action. I do wish we had maybe a little bit more time at the beginning to get to know the characters a bit better, but it's really hard to complain when the series right from page one was so consistently enjoyable. It sets up this mystery with all these Esper kids. We don't really know what the deal with them is at first. You know, where did they come from? Why is the government experimenting on them? What the fuck is going on with Tetsuo? And who is Akira? This is just a mystery that plagues everyone in the first part of this series. But everything I touch on so far is only the surface of this manga. There's a whole other side to this manga that I don't even want to go into, because experiencing the second half of this story without knowing what it would become was truly something fascinating. Just prepare for the most insane and unexpected things you will ever see in a manga. Just constantly, over and over again, every single volume has these massive moments, these big reveals, these exciting action scenes. And while it feels very fast-paced, it feels just right for the type of series that Akira is. But you see, I was worried reading some of the parts in this series. I'd be like at the end of volume 2, I'm like, this is fucking insane. How on earth are you going to one-up this? And they somehow do. Several times throughout the series. And I have to say, the climax of this manga is spectacular. And while the ending was pretty open-ended, I really did enjoy how it ended. I'm pretty sure I got chills when I first read it. So of course, this series has multiple characters, many of them very iconic by now. We of course have Kaneda, our main protagonist, who I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't that big on his character. I mean, he was fine, he did the job. You know, one of these determined, optimistic, never give up manga protagonists. But I do wish his character was a bit deeper, that we got to know him a little bit better. Because at one point in this series, there's like an entire volume where Kaneda just isn't there. And I really didn't miss him, not gonna lie. When he showed up again, I was like, oh yeah, this is the protagonist. The same can sort of be said for Tetsuo. I did think he was a bit more of an interesting character because of, of all the shit going on with him. But at the same time, I do wish we did learn a bit more about them. And I really wish we had gotten more of their friendship and their past together. Because the series really just, throws you in with Tetsuo getting in the accident. And I do think some of the events in this series would have a lot more emotional weight if we were more attached to these characters. But that being said, they still did the job well, and by the ending, I really grown to like these characters, so I wouldn't say they are some of the best I've seen. But of course, you have a lot of side characters too, most notably Kei, who Kaneda starts to grow a bit fond of, if you know what I mean. She was probably my favorite character in the series. I thought her arc was really interesting. I thought the Esper characters were really interesting, because for a lot of the time we really don't know what it is, and when everything's finally revealed, it's very satisfying. I also really like the character arc for the Colonel. He starts off as seemingly, the main antagonist, but as the series progresses, it's clear that there's a lot more to him than the series lets on. Now, as for the title character, Akira, there really isn't much to his character, but if this makes any sense, what I think works about Akira is what he means to this series, and what he means to these characters. So overall, I'd say a pretty well-rounded and great cast of characters. Again, I do wish the main ones had a bit more development, but overall, good shit. Now let's talk about that sexy artwork. Oh my god. Now the characters are fine, they're serviceable, they work well, but they are nowhere near why the artwork in Akira is so amazing. It is everything else in this series that makes my jaw drop. Just a lot of really great moments of pure action that made me feel like I was watching a summer blockbuster. It was great. And something really interesting about the series that I think contributes to the fast pace is that there aren't very many transition panels in this series. You know how a lot of times when a manga will change scene, there'll be like a panel with a box saying, oh, we're here now, we're in a different place. And this might have something to do with the fact that there really aren't any numbered chapters in the Akira volumes. I'm pretty sure like it was serialized like a normal manga with different chapters, but in the books there's no sign of that. Chapters are all just fused together. So when it cuts to a new scene and there's no transition, that might have been when a new chapter would start. I don't really know, but still, I thought this was a really interesting way to do it, because you don't see it that often. Now, the other thing about the artwork is the backgrounds. They are absolutely stunning. The problem is, though, I really can't show you the best parts, just how good this art gets, without maybe spoiling something, but I will say the scope of some of these drawings, the detail is really something to behold. I really recommend getting those massive-ass hardcover volumes, because some of these 2-page spreads on massive paper really bring out the best that this series has to offer. Those are my thoughts on Akira. I thought this was a fantastic series. I love the story. I thought a lot of the characters were really interesting. The art was stunning. And I can really see the influence that this series has brought to so many others. I really think this is a must-read for any fan of action manga, and I give it my final score of a 9 out of 10. Now, if you'd like to own Akira for yourself, you can get all 6 volumes from Kodansha in either 2 ways. The paperback editions, which I believe are actually flipped to more resemble an American comic, or you could pick up the box set with these beautiful hardcover editions. They're flipped back to the original orientation, they have some great color pages, and I really have to commend Kodansha. I know I shit on them a lot for the quality of their volumes, but these right here are really amazing. And you just put that together with the great story, I really do think that the box set is worth every penny. There's also the movie, which of course I haven't seen. I should probably get around to it just because of, how influential it was for animation in general. And there you have it. Thank you all so much for watching. You can leave your thoughts on Akira in the comments below. And I will see you guys soon for my very cheerful and uplifting review of Good Night Pun Pun.
We've been on the run, driving in the sun, looking out for #1. California, here we come, right back where we started from. Well, hustlers, grab your shadow weighs a ton, driving down the 101, California.